Okay, so with the bit, see, I'm going to pet her because, you know, when you come up, she starts to get worried. So just get used to whenever she starts backing up and getting worried or her head coming up, just pet her. It's going to just help calm her right back down. Go, you're okay. It's all right. You're okay. Good girl. So with the bit, I'm just going to move her hind end over a little bit so we can see it with the camera. Good girl. So it's a habit to me just to pet them to a stop too. I just do that automatically. So when we go to bend the horse's head around, whether we're turning it or just doing lateral flexion, doesn't matter. The feel should always be the same. So I come down with just my forefinger and my thumb, and then I slowly she's already giving. I didn't even do anything, but that could have been just coincidence. But you know, there's a little bit of weight too on the slobber straps there. So I'm just going to take it really slowly. She gave. I gave. I'm going to come down. I'm going to slowly ask, because I want her to think her way to the answer. Okay? And I want that mouth to be light, and I want that mouth to be soft. So I'm going to come down, just slowly close my fingers. So there's a lot of avoidance there right now. She just goes, you know, she kind of worries, but we can work her through that by making sure it was just the same thing when we were moving the front end and moving the hind end. We want to give releases right away, and we want to slowly put the pressure on so that she can start thinking to herself, okay, I feel it coming. I need to figure out what I'm going to do about it. So I'm going to close my fingers one at a time, and all she has to do is give a tiny bit, and I'm going to release. Okay. Later on, we can hold it for longer, but I'm also, as I bend, I might just release a finger or two. Okay. But I'm always offering some kind of release. Every time they give, I'm offering some kind of release. I'm going to just come over here so the camera can see it better. So, like, if I was on and I was riding, and I want to go ahead and either do lateral flexion or turn her, I'm going to start taking the slack out. I'm going to bring my hand down. And I'm going to slowly, she's just giving there out of concern. I'm going to slowly close my fingers, and then I'm going to hold it until she gave a tiny bit. I released. Okay? Because what we're trying to get her to do is know what the answer is. Okay? We're not trying to get her head all the way over here. If she knows what the answer is, that'll get light, and that'll just and that'll come really easy. So I'm gonna, okay, so I'm in the saddle. I would bring this up. I'd come over here. I'd slowly, she's already giving. Because she can feel it through this too. Okay? But I don't want her to do it out of worry, because it's like a little jerky kind of, I'm just going to give because I don't want to get in trouble. I want her to feel safe with it. Okay? She doesn't feel safe with it yet. There's worry and concern there. How do we work them through that? With lots of releases and being very light. Come down. I got my forefinger, my middle finger. She just goes and gives because she doesn't want to get in trouble. But I want her to be able to feel that and be okay with that. There, she gave. So when she gives, she's given herself basically a release of pressure because I'm not moving my hand anywhere. And so right here, there, she gave a tiny ounce. Now I'm going to close. See, I only closed 2 fingers she gave. I opened them up. We want her to learn how to have confidence with the bit. If we take it and we pull, that's where the anxiety comes from. Because she goes, I don't know what to do with that. That's too much pressure. There's no release. So we want that to be light. See how light? See what she's giving? Good girl. Good girl. So I'm going to come down, slowly close. She wouldn't even, but she's avoiding. I'd really like for her to be able to handle that, but it's going to come with those releases. See, now she's leaning on that just a little bit. I'm going to put my last pinky on. She gave, so my fingers, so I came slowly like that, closed. She gave, they opened. Okay? Later on, after she gets confidence, we can just release with a pinky, just like mini releases. Okay? But so we don't have to like let go of the whole thing, but we have to give some release. Some release. So I come down, I close my fingers, she's giving right there, but that's avoidance. So I'm just going to hold this here, and she's going to end up taking her head back. And when she does, I'm just going to hold it until she finds the answer. She hasn't looked there. She looked. Once we get confidence with that, then we can do more with it. But still, even when I'm working with the reins, my fingers are I'm always giving little tiny releases. And that's where the softness comes in and the relaxation comes in, because she's not getting pulled. Because when you go all the way, she's just like, I don't know what to do with that. You know, that's way too much pressure. There's not a release there. She doesn't know. All she knows is a bunch of pressure came, and she doesn't know why. But it's just like when we were moving her front end. Look at how quick she started to get light. So I'd like you to try that. And if you don't release, I'll whack you with this. No, I'm kidding. Release. Yeah. Because she's still trying to figure out what the answer is. There. There. She gave. Did you see that? Just like, it was just a little bit, but that's all. That's just like with the front end when we were trying to move it. We give little releases, and then she's going to soften. There's not going to be all that brace there. And just hold it until she makes a decision. It's up to her to find the answer. Wrong answer, right answer. Because see, her head went away, but then it came back. So if it goes away, but she starts to bring it back, release, because she started going in the right direction. So she was hunting. She was hunting for the answer. She chose the wrong one, but as soon as she chooses the right one, right? Okay. But see how she went away from it a little bit? And then she comes back, she's going, where's the answer, where's the answer? So if her head starts to come back, you release, goes, oh, that's where the answer is. Yep. And it was just a little bit, but that's okay. It's going in the right direction. And there wasn't that jerk reaction that time. She was softening. She didn't move a whole lot, but she doesn't have to move a whole lot yet. What she has to do is she has to trust that that's not going to hurt her. It's just giving her direction. Good. But that's her mind in there going, okay, I'm feeling some pressure. It's not heavy, but what am I supposed to do with that? And then she finds the answer. But can you see where that's going to lead to a lot of lightness? So when we lift the reins, we're kind of telling them, attention, I'm going to start to ask for something. I need you to pay attention. Then I'm going to go down here, slowly close my fingers. She came over, I released. But when they come up, I want them to know that that means we're going to do something. There, she gave. But, so this comes up, attention. I'm going to slowly close my fingers. Good. Good girl. Attention. So it's not heavy, but it's just bringing it up, and then your arm's going to go down. Close one finger at a time. There, she gave to me. I released. There we go. And so when you get to that point where she'll get soft and she'll just give a little bit without the worry, then we can start asking for more. And so what it would be like is it's like you close your fingers, She gave a little bit, you release, then you can start to close them, ask again. She gave a little bit more, you release, close them up, ask again, and just, okay? But first we got to get her just to relax with just knowing what the answer is and that she doesn't have to worry herself to the answer. So then, and then eventually, it's just little tiny releases with maybe a finger or your ring finger, and just like little releases, just, yes, yes, that was the answer. Yes, that was the answer. Yes, that was the answer. You know, can you give me a little bit more? Thank you. And release. Yes, that was right. A little bit more. Thank you. Yes, that was right. So it's not necessarily that you have to drop the whole thing when you release, but you have to give some. She gave, you give. She gives, you give. She always, no matter what you're asking, whether it's with your legs or your hands, or she gives, you give. Attention, come down, close one finger at a time. She gave, I released. So I'm going to come over here. We're not really in a good position for the camera, but you're going to remember what we did. I'm just going to toss that right there. So she started moving her feet, so I just pet her to a stop. Attention, come down, ask, release, ask, release. Ask, I just released fingers. Ask, release. And she started giving me more, but so because I didn't let go of the whole thing, I just asked, she gave, I release, ask, she gave, I release, ask, I release, ask, release, ask, release. And then she'll get lighter and more responsive. And if you're writing and she starts to get braced and you ask and her neck gets stiff because she's worried about something, you just hold it there until she finds the answer. You don't pull harder unless you need to do like an emergency stop or something, you know. But you're just going to hold that there until she finds the answer. And if she can't find the answer and you're writing with your writing crop, then you bring the writing crop from the other side, but you start out here and you start bringing it in. You can kind of swing it in so she can see it, because we always want to give her time to find the answer, because then it becomes her idea to do the right thing, and then it's going to stick better. So when you do come up, let me just show you one more time. When you do come up, you want to actually try to have some contact. She's not even letting me, because that's just her worry. But see how quick she jerks to do it? So that's worry, okay? What we're trying, that's why we're even going slower right now, because we want her to be able to respond without worry. And I can even pet her. There we go. She's just giving a lot right there. And once she can wait for there to be just a little bit and then respond lightly, then you know she's losing her fear. Okay? And then we can start doing more of the ask, release with your fingers. Right now, she needs more of a release just because there's so much anxiety with that. We need to get rid of the anxiety before we can have her thinking her way to the answer.
Is that what keeps the mouth going, the anxiety?
Yes. Yeah. They play with things with their mouth. They play with the bit. They get foam in their mouth. Those are and just moving their lips around a lot. That's all anxiety. So she just needs us to help her work through that. And so there's got to be a lot of ask release. Well, there's always a lot of ask release, but it's got to be really, really light right now. And so I might hold her right there. She took her head away. There, she gave again. I released. Good. 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 So you can work with that. And because eventually we want, if this was her mouth, eventually we want to ask and her to wait to feel it instead of going, I got to hurry up and do it before I get in trouble. Okay? And then we want it to be light. We want her to just start responding without jerking her head. We want it to just be a light movement. Just like in the halter, you know, if we ask her head to move, it's not as jerky because she's not as worried about it. Right? And so, like if you ask with the halter and you just ask her and she starts slowly moving her head, she's thinking her way to the answer. Right here, she's just being jerky about it because she's worried. So we're just going to take our time. So now, so if you want to get on and we'll work on, you were telling me about the backup and I'll see how that's going. So does that make sense about the bit? Okay. And you can understand now why she's doing what she's doing. Yeah, that's just anxiety. So normally when I get on, what I do is I make the inside rein shorter than the outside rein. That way if I needed to bend him to a stop, I could. And that's just anxiety. Because she goes, I know when the pressure gets on there, something's going to happen, and I don't know how to find the answer. So, you know, if you could ride with the halter and tie the lead rope and you can have this on, and ride with that, and then you can have this as a backup until there's relaxation, until you've worked some of this stuff out on the ground. Because otherwise she can't pay attention when she's full of anxiety, and she can't find the answer when she's full of anxiety. So if we can put this on too. Yeah. Oh. Well, you're going to have a hold. You're going to have a hold of this one, not that one. That one will just lay there basically. Or we can take that off and ride in this right now, if you want to, because I would like you to try to work with that on the ground a little bit just to get that light, because if you start asking her to back up and then you're doing it with the bit and you're asking things and now she's moving all over the place, she can't pay attention to what you're asking back there because she's got all that anxiety. And so, like if you're going out riding and you have both of these, I could put a different halter on it too. I mean a lead rope if you want. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. Because the most important thing is to work her through that anxiety right now. And so wearing it without anything happening is a nice thing too. Because, you know, it's there but nothing bad's happening. And then, you know, if you need some more help during the month, you can talk to me about it. But we need to work on just helping her through that anxiety before you're actually using it. So that way she's seeing right now that she's wearing it but nothing bad's happening.
So then the halter over the bridle?
That might be kind of hard because then she's going to have different pressure points. So you might want to, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, also this is really good to practice this way with the halter and the lead rope, because you can, it's more forgiving when you're learning versus learning with the bit.
Yes.
Right? Okay? So the mistakes aren't as bad.
Yeah.
And if you need another treat, I have one. Hi. How's it going? How's your dog?
Give a treat.
Oh, yeah.
She's feeling good. Waiting for her to come in season and getting ready for a show at the same time.
Oh, okay. Wow. I know. I'm helping you. There we go. Left it up there. You've got to be the most colorful horse when you're out on the trail. I like them though, they're really cute. She's just got to work through all that. Because it's kind of hard to work through that and to work through how does she get away from pressure with the bit at the same time. So this is perfect just to let her wear it for a little bit. So let's see how, when you just ask for the hind end, how that is. Good. So then you're going to stop forward motion, right? You're going to block forward motion. So try to, when you lift the rein, go a little slower. Because it's the same thing you would do with the bit, right? You would go a little slower. So when you put the leg on, don't put extra pressure with the leg. Just lift, slowly lift the lead line. Light, yep, and pet her. And stop, yep, stop her, and then stop forward motion, yeah. So we just need her to understand that you're only talking to the hind end right now. Good. She's trying to offer now. She goes, was that it? So then I would just pet her because she's trying, she's trying, right? Good. And stop the forward. Stop, yep. So she has that tendency to throw her head around a lot, right? Like when you're asking her to do something like that? Right, and so then she gets bumped a lot. So then that just increases that anxiety. So that's where it's really good to work with just the halter right now, because we got to break things down into baby steps for her. Well, she didn't go sideways, so you're going to keep asking until she does the right thing. Yep. Yep. And ask again, because we want to ask until there's improvement, until she gets the idea that you're only talking to the hind end. So when you put your leg on, just slowly lift that rein, just a little bit at a time, just real gradually, so she can see it slowly coming on, so she has a time to think her way to the answer. So lift the right rein just a little slowly. Yep, yep, and pet her. So, yeah, let's just ask again. Yeah, because we're going to ask the same direction until it's better. And so it went backwards, but it didn't go sideways. So if you point your toe out a little bit, point that toe out, yes. And that opens your hip. It puts your hip in the same position you need her hip to go so she can do it. Just hold it, yes, and pet. And now she didn't go forward that time. But it's very hard for her to learn all this while she's got that anxiety with the bit. So we're just breaking it down. So ask again. Yeah, and stop the forward and pet her. Because she still needs that petting. She needs that comforting because she worries her way to the answer. Okay? So we want to do it long enough that she's able to respond respectfully without fear. So the fear is still in there, right? Okay? So anything that we do, we want to do it with lightness and we want to repeat until she can respond respectfully without fear. Okay? So we just slow our motions down a lot when we ask. So we slowly lift that, we slowly put our leg on, and we wait for the answer, and then we pet her to a stop. Yeah. And this is where lightness comes from. But her mind is thinking. She's trying. Everything is like a puzzle. Okay? We set up a puzzle, we let them find the answer. We set up a puzzle, we let them find the answer. So you're going to slowly put your leg on, slowly lift that rein, and you're going to wait for her to find the answer. That's how she's part of the conversation. She gets to find the answer. Yes, and pet her. Yeah. So we're not going to add more with our leg. And if the leg and the rein aren't working, then you can lightly, not hard, lightly tap with rhythm. It just says do more with your feet. Because if we do it hard, they take offense and worry. It's just light. It's not, it's just to irritate them like a fly. She's backing, so keep asking. Yes, and release. Good. Now there's less forward, right? Okay? So do you want this? Or do you want to just do, okay, okay. So ask that side again. We're looking for lightness and lack of worry. She's backing. There we go. And pet. Pet. She needs that reassurance. So anytime they do more with their feet, more with their mouth, there's just more movement than they should, just pet them. Pet her and say, you're okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's hard being the student. You know? That's okay. Pet her. She's trying. She goes, she's going, look at how smart I am. I know what we're doing. Okay? And she did it without moving her front feet. She did it without going forward. So that's good. So ask as light as you can with your leg. Point your toe out. Ask as light as you can. Yeah. She needs lightness. Yes. Oh, good. Good girl. Yeah. See how when you get lighter, she gets lighter? Good. And pet her. Now try the other side, because I got better, right? Okay, then you ask the other side. Yeah, and pet her. Pet her. So that head coming up and down is just a little bit of anxiety. We just work her through it. We just pet her. We ask again. We ask with lightness until she can do it and not worry. Good. So there wasn't really sideways there, so ask again, but ask with lightness. Just wait. Yeah, and pet her, pet her. Yeah, because she wasn't sure. She just goes, is it this way? Is it this way? And you just keep that door closed so she can't go that way. She's just trying, because remember, that's their nature, is to push into pressure. We're teaching them to give to pressure. So sometimes she's just searching. Which is the answer? Which is the answer? Because she knows we were just doing the other side, so she's like, is it this way? Is it this way? She's thinking. She's trying. We need to give them the benefit of the doubt. And pet her. But there's still anxiety with that, see? Okay, so we're just going to ask as light as we can until she can do it without worrying. Good, ask, yep. As soon as she starts going sideways, that leg comes off and you pet. That's just anxiety. I think, too, it helps just knowing why they're doing what they're doing. That's anxiety, so we help them through it. That's all.
I can see what voices going back.
Yeah, because they're so worried they can't find the answer. They can't find the answer. They're just like, I can't take it anymore. Yeah, because she's got a lot of heart and try in her. She's searching. There we go, pet. So I'm not sure how much you're using with your leg. Is it pretty light? Okay. Oh, good, good, good. Uh-huh. Yeah, good. Oh, okay. Yeah. And so we need them to move that outside hip too, right? So we got to take that weight off of it for them to do it. We have to help them. Yeah, and pet her. So now you know that's all just anxiety. And we're just going to pet her through it. We don't blame her. We just help her. We're the teacher. So there was still a little bit of worry. So let's try that side again. Until she can respond without having anxiety. Or less, at least less. Good girl. Good girl. But see how much this is going to help her not being in her mouth right now? Because then she's got two things she's worried about. Too much right now. Too much. So get ready to ask as light as you can. Good. And that was really kind of fast for her, which means that was still worry. So ask again. Just pet her. Pet her. Pet her till she stops. So I think part of that throwing her head down is going, I know the reins are coming with it, and I'm worried. So that's where it's good to stay out of her mouth right now. We need to do more of this kind of stuff until we can get control better of body parts and your hands. Otherwise, it's always gonna be like that. And make sure you pet her after each time, right? In the future, you won't have to. But until we get rid of the anxiety, pet her after each step. It's just going to help her calm her nerves. Just pet her. Yeah. Yeah. Good, and just pet her. Now let her just walk for a minute, just to give her a mental break, and as we do, I'll talk to you. So, in order, because you said when you back up, she's crooked, her butt's going all over the place. It's hard to fix that until we get this fixed, right? Because right now there's so much anxiety with her being asked to move body parts. We got to get that calm before we can fix the backup. So that way, Lucy, out, out, Lucy, out, out. She'll keep going. So, okay, if you think about it now, so if we're trying to back her and she's all over the place, and then you're putting pressure on different legs to get her to stop, she's already got anxiety there. We got to get rid of that anxiety first. And then we can close doors. We can, if she starts to go to the left, we can just put our right leg on and close that door and say, not that way. But right now, it just adds to the anxiety. Because she's like, I'm supposed to back up. I get pressure in the mouth. I get pressure with the legs. And there's already anxiety with all that, and it's too much. We have to break it down into baby steps for them. So when you're working with her at home and you're working on just moving body parts, I would just like to spend the next month working on getting that to where the anxiety goes away. And getting that nice and light. And getting where then when you start turning her with the front end or the hind end, she becomes more responsive and less worried. And get that better first, then we'll get to the backup. But it's just, it's too many pieces right now for her. So we were working on the front end on the ground, and so when you're in saddle and you're wanting to turn her front end or turn her hind end, first we're going to get that good on the ground like we were. Then we're going to start asking for it a little bit more under saddle. So like right now, if you wanted her to move her hind end to the right and come towards me, like so you're steering the boat from the back end. Steering the horse from the back end. And let's see what she does. Let's see if she moves it. So lift that rein just a little slowly, until she gives slowly. So let's do this one. So you're going along the rail, and then I want you to face the rail. So you're going to slowly disengage that hind end, slowly like you just were, until she can turn and face it. Okay? Because we're going to teach her how to move that hind end without worrying. And that's a great and then she gets to stop, and then she gets to release the pressure, and she gets a little break. So that'll start getting that hind end to move better under saddle. So then just go along the rail. And this gives you a chance to practice your skills of slowly asking too, with your reins and with your leg. So go along the rail for a half a rail or a half a circle, and then ask. And then think about just mindfully asking like you were doing at the standstill. Same thing. And lift that rein upward. Yeah, and pet her, pet her, pet her, pet her. Now she even gave you a little more than you wanted, but that's okay. But keep on the same side until you can do it where she does it without anxiety or worry, or at least until there's less of that. Yeah, and just walk on. And that's just her not being sure what the answer is. And slowly, yeah, and pet her. And do the same. We want to continue on that same side until she can just do it without having to feel like she has to hurry up and do it before she gets in trouble. Because she's giving you a whole bunch, but it's not with confidence, right? Okay? So what are we looking for? We're looking for her confidence to grow. For her to be able to respond with respect without fear. So just as light as you can, and pet her. That was better, right? So big try, big reward. So you let her rest for a minute here. Because that was better, right? We're not looking for perfection, we're looking for improvement. Can you respond without worrying? And then when practicing this stuff in here is going to make everything else out on the trail better. But we're setting it up for her to learn in an environment that that is easier for her. It's hard to learn the stuff out on the trail, and it's hard to be precise out on the trail. And that's just, she's just trying to find the answer. Right? Do you see that now? That she's not trying to be bad? She just goes, she just tries things. But as long as you stay soft like this and ask soft like this, that worrying about being right will be better. Because what we're teaching her to do is to wait for direction and not to worry. And pet her. Remember, you want to pet her every time right now because we're working on her emotional fitness. And she's licking her lips. That's good. Good girl. And pet her. Good. That petting's going to help her to think more and react less. Be less reactionary. And she's licking her lips again. That's good. So you see how we're working on the mind, getting the mind right? And then the body will get right. And then we're working on, of course, your skills too. And being able to ask with lightness and reward. And pet her. Because she needs to know she's right. The only way right now, besides for the release, the pet helps her emotions. Petting her, just like she goes, oh, she must be happy with me. I'm so happy with how far she's come.
Oh, I am too.
And pet her. And you're being a lot lighter with the reins. I really like that. And she's not jerking her head as much now because she's not so much anticipating pressure in the mouth right now. Good. And I just pet her, give her a moment break, and then ask in the other direction. Because that direction got better, right? Right? And look, that's what we want. We want improvement. And if she wants to go ahead. Once we get more of this lightness and get her to looking for direction, that'll get better. Yeah. Because she's going to start focusing more in on you. Because we're going to eventually get to a point where we're asking a lot more things out of her. And once we get her mind more, we're going to get everything else. And just ask, just close doors and open doors and pet her, yes. And that was lighter. There wasn't so much worry there. And, because last time you were here, there was a lot more, micromanaging with the reins, and you're being very soft right now, and you're asking really light, and that's going to make all the difference to her. That's really good. Huge improvement there. And see how her mouth is getting really quiet now? Well, it doesn't mean it's always going to be 100%, but it's a lot better. Way better. And then you're going to work on the rein control on the ground and stuff, get that better. And get your hands better with the halter and lead rope. You're going to get your hands better, so when you go back to the bit, you're going to offer her a better feel. And that's going to help with the anxiety. So let's do something where we can see if we can start having a little more front end control. Do that a couple more times, though, in that direction, and then we'll work on the front end just a little bit. She goes, look at how smart I am. I'll show you what we're doing. But she's just a girl with a very busy mind. And so if we direct it right, she's got so much to offer because she's got quite an active mind. And we just got to direct it the right way, and it'll get better and better. Oh, she's already gotten so much better. Can't believe this is the same horse that came here that we couldn't catch. And did pet her. Big try, big reward. So that was a lot better, right? So you're going to rest for longer as a reward, unless she wants to go. But, it's just like you just always think about that. If there's a bigger try, there's a bigger reward. And so actually, after she just dwells on that for a minute, then we'll move to the front end, because that was better, right? But now you know how to work on that at home. And then when it gets really soft and light without her being reactionary at the walk, then do it at the trot. Yes, yes. But not till it's really good at the walk, without her being emotional or reactionary. But you're going to make sure that when you do that, even at the trot, that you're going to do the reins really slowly and the leg really slowly. It's not that hard, really, honestly. I mean, once you get it nice, it's not that hard. But you just have to make sure that you take your time asking, because we want her to find the answer, right? We don't want to drag her to the answer. We want to help her find the answer. But we want all that anxiety to be gone before we do it at the trot. So if you're not there before you come back again, then we'll work on it when you come back here. Never think about it as being in a rush. We're on horse time. It's up to the horse. When she's ready, then we'll do it, and not until. Good. So the only thing that I would mention right there is, so when you were, and this is just for future, when you were asking, you were nice and light, and then she didn't give it, so you went like that. So we got to try not to do the jerky ones, because that's what gets the anxiety in the mouth, is those jerky ones. So this is why you're using this right now, so you can get rid of that before you go back to the bit. Okay, I was very far in Pirelli before they let us use the bit. Yeah, because we had to get really good, both at Liberty or bridleless and with a halter before we got to use a bit. We had to earn the right to be in the horse's mouth. Okay, so there is no rush to get to that. Because the better our skills get before we do that, the better the horse is going to get. So it's not a bad thing to ride in this. Yeah, because she's finding that she doesn't have to have anxiety with it. Because look at how much quieter she's getting. But I just wouldn't use it right now.
Oh, you wouldn't use it at all.
No, I mean I wouldn't ride with the bit and the reins. But let her get comfortable that that's in there and nothing bad's going to happen. It's not a punishment. It's just like it's just there as a matter of fact and nothing bad happens. Because I'm just going to pet her for a second. As soon as I go to touch here, anxiety comes up. That's anxiety. Okay? So we need to, that's where we ask when we're bending her with the reins. Remember when we were doing that? And I close one finger at a time? That's how slow we got to be to get rid of that anxiety. And then one finger at a time. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And they did that so that we would slow down. That's so we slow down. Because it gets us thinking. That wasn't about the horse. That's about us. Okay? And we need to get rid of that anxiety in our mouth, so we just need to take things really, really slow. And it's easier if you're on the ground, because then if she moves, it's too easy to jerk or pull, and then I barely touched that. I only put like an ounce of pressure, just barely touched it, and she was like, oh my God. Okay? And another thing that we can kind of teach her, I'm just going to pet her. You're okay. See, she just worries about that. That's just worry. Is eventually, and then we're going to teach her eventually. I can't. I'm not going to be able to reach. I can do that from here. Is to, when she feels on both reins, is to put her head down. But we'll work on that later, where we'll ask a little bit, and we'll ask her to stretch into the bit eventually. Yeah, and to be able to carry it with confidence. But right now, we just got to first work through the anxiety. And so I'm just going to be super light right here. I'm going to ask. She gave me a little. Yeah. Yeah. Just a little.
It's the same.
Without anxiety. Very disciplined. Yes. Yes. If you want to get rid of this, if you want it to get better.
Remind me of that every now and then when I get in a hurry.
I'm just asking lightly. There we go. Good.
What's that? Oh. I said I have to be disciplined, not to rush things.
Yes.
And stop the frustration.
Yes. Because that just adds to her anxiety. Instead of getting frustrated, you're going to pet.
Okay.
Every time you